welcome to this week's episode of the Weekly Ruffle. Unfortunately, we weren't able to release an episode last week. We've been a little bit busy in our real lives. So this week we wanted to take the opportunity and answer one of the questions that we got recently. YouTube user Jaimicchi was asking about Jamie's creations and her inspirations for that. So we wanted to take the time today and show some of Jamie's work and answer that question for you. So, to start off, when did you start making your own Lolita?
I think I started actually making it maybe about making good stuff. Maybe about a year and a half ago. I'd always been interested in making it just because, again, of my stature. So part of me getting into fashion in general was me being like, you know what, I really want to make this stuff for myself because I know it won't fit me in a million years. So I started making some stuff initially after I took my first sewing class and didn't really go as planned. I do actually have one of my really old pieces back here that I can share with you. It's just kind of a disaster. I want to salvage it, but I don't know that it's possible. But I started making much better stuff maybe about a year and a half ago and just keep trying to make it better every time.
Okay. What sort of patterns do you use?
I use quite a bit of patterns. I actually kind of mix and match them. I really don't stick to one pattern in general. When I first started out, after I took 2 pattern courses at school, I pretty much don't use commercial patterns very much anymore, except for just really basic pieces that can be really universal in terms of sizing. I know there was a McCall's one that I used just over and over for blouses, just because it had those princess seams and that was the main piece that I really wanted to have for my blouses. So there is one of those in general, or that I used as kind of just, you know, a universal one. So that one was one I continue to use and I continue to go back to. If I need quick blouse pieces, I'm like, where's that one I need? So I always go back to that one. If anybody wants specific numbers, I can get that to you later. I don't know it off the top of my head, but usually it was just commercial patterns and really looking through and finding those details. Like I said, the princess seams were a big thing. I think it might have been a quick sew pattern that had the really puffy sleeve pattern on there. I was like, I need that. And I would just flip through pattern books and find all those little details. If one pattern just had one sleeve I needed, I'd buy the pattern for $1 or $2 and just mix and match everything. So I started mixing and matching and just piecing stuff together. So it's not really one pattern.
So, and you worked at the fabric store for a while too, so you had access to a lot of those patterns.
I did. I spent a lot of time, and as soon as we got new patterns in, I was going and looking for stuff and trying to find things, and I was always looking out for sales. So if any of you girls out there are wanting to start sewing your own Lolita, or if you've been sewing for a while and you want to get more patterns, look for the sales. Don't pay $18 for a pattern because it's not worth it. You're going to cut it up in a million pieces, so get the $1 sale, get the $2 sale, don't pay full price for a pattern.
Okay, so what would you say is your favorite thing to make? Like, do you enjoy JSKS more, or like blouses, or what do you really love to do?
I'm a blouse girl. I love doing blouses so much just because there's so many different details you can do, and of course with jumper skirts and one pieces, I mean, there's details for everything, but blouses are what I really love to do the most because there's more tailoring involved. I can really make it fit the body as well as I want to. There's a lot in terms of like sleeve choices. I've made blouses for I think 3 different people besides myself, and they were actually all pretty different. The most recent one I did, one of the girls from my blouse giveaway, shout out to her, her name is Madeline, she's adorable. She wanted one that was very similar to I think one that Angelic Pretty had put out, and she sent me a picture, and I was like, you know what, I could pull that off pretty easily actually, and added some pin tucks for her, did a little, you know, ruffled sleeve. It was just short sleeve. It was pretty basic and very easy to work with, but I love doing blouses. They're so quick. If I really set my mind to it and do it fast enough, I can crank out a blouse in a day if I have to, just start to finish, about 10 hours or so. So
I think you have some of your blouses down here. Do you mind showing us?
No, I have quite a few. That one's not mine. This one was actually one of my very first disaster pieces. I got, you know, my little trim here, but this was before I found a really good pattern. So the buttons stop here. They don't go all the way up. And I posted a video like probably over a year ago, because I lived in our previous apartment. So it's been quite a while actually. When I posted that and I showed this, and the actual like buttons for the sleeves. This one faces the front. This one faces the front. They're supposed to face the back. They're not supposed to open toward the front. So these pretty much got flipped. They were backwards. But I mean, you can see I was really trying. Like I did my little pom-pom trim. I had my ruffle here at the bottom. It's supposed to extend all the way to the bottom of the placket, which it doesn't do. That was one of my very first pieces though. This is one of my other sweet ones I really, really do like. I've worn this tons of times. I have my little eyelet here. I think I used a kind of inspiration from I think one of the White Moon ones on Taobao possibly, but I saw it and I loved it. I was like, I really like what they did with that, and they used a really, really wide eyelet on it, and I loved the look of it, so I kind of drew some inspiration for that. I've got my double buttons here.
Your lace has little hearts.
It does have hearts on it, yes. I actually never ended up hemming the bottom because I could never decide if I wanted a ruffle on the bottom of it, so it is still unhemmed. Maybe one day I'll actually decide if I want a ruffle on it or not, but it's always under a jumper skirt or tucked into a skirt anyway, so it's never ever seen. This one you guys have seen me wear a couple of times in our videos now. It has the sheer sleeve. This one I'm the most proud of because it was one I totally designed on my own start to finish. I was really happy about it. I have my little crosses hanging off the end here, which get kind of crazy because they are stitched in. But it was a pattern that I did in my pattern class, so it's very much tailored to my body. So I put it on and I'm like, oh, this is like a glove. It fits very nicely.
I have to say, this is my favorite blouse.
Thank you.
I think it's just, I love this so much. This is something that I wish I would see more from brands. I don't see a lot of chiffon, and I really don't like the cotton blouses. I feel like I sweat a lot in them and they're just stiff.
And secret on that though, chiffon makes you sweat even more. I sweat more in this blouse than I do in anything else.
I agree with you. However, it doesn't soak up the same way,
true.
and
Yes.
that's my issue, is that the cotton gets like heavy.
Yes.
And it's much more noticeable if you can sweat.
Yeah.
So that's, I would go with chiffon blouses any day. So.
Yeah, and I loved adding that detail too. I just really wanted something that could go for if I wanted to wear it in the spring, but it's still a little bit chilly, it'd still keep me warm, but in the winter it's actually not that bad because there's still this layer here. It seems really stupid to say, it's like, bitch, it's sheer, like you're gonna be cold, and it's actually not that bad. I wore it out to the Beetlejuice thing that night, and I actually wasn't all that chilly, so that was kind of surprising. And then I guess I'll also show you this one. This one I have actually only worn like twice. I don't think I've worn this to any meetups even.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think I've seen this one before.
Yeah, it's purple. It's way more gothic, obviously. I have this really detailed black lace here. Like, I just threw ruffles pretty much everywhere. And I ordered some, actually my buttons are skulls. They're tiny little black skulls that I ordered. Took like 3 weeks to get here because I came from China. But I really wanted to do something like that and make one that was more gothic. So I really enjoyed doing this one. This one's a bit older as well. I made this one probably, actually it's probably closer to 2 years ago. I guess maybe 2 years ago now. It was probably about when I started making stuff that was better quality. I forget how long I've been sewing.
Okay, so you definitely need to show us your Captain America OP.
Yeah!
When we went out, she got so many compliments on this from people that just loved the dress and loved Captain America, so we need to show
And this is actually, it's quite different from the way I first designed it. I know some of you may have seen it the first time. When I first made it, the bottom, like around the hem, was not big enough. The circumference wasn't big enough to accommodate my petticoat. So I didn't wear it for a really, really long time. I was like, I really need to change this. I completely took off the bottom, scrapped it, bought new fabric, redid it. I did actually go and redo the scalloping on the hem. So I scalloped it all over again. I hand tacked the hem in place because I guess I wanted to go the extra mile on that. And I added the midriff. I really, really wanted to have that I kind of decided that after I'd seen it quite a bit. I was like, I really should have done that. I really should have done that. I really should have done it. So I just cut off some, pulled that in, and it actually worked pretty well. But I have my little shield down here, and I appliqued all of these. And this was an actual fabric that has all of the comic book covers on it. So I just cut that off and applique it around the bottom and made my bows to match. I still have my pom-pom trim. A little bit of sweet thrown in there. And my sailor collar. So
Very, very
this is one of my pieces I'm very proud of.
All right. So what are you working for, or what are you working on for your spring collection this year?
My spring collection, I had a lot of trouble deciding on my spring collection. I kept trying to decide because everyone in my school knows that I'm into this fashion, and I wasn't wanting to do something that was super predictable. They're like, oh, Jamie's gonna do Lolita. It's like, well, yeah, but it's gonna look different than all your other trendy stuff that you're making. Like, they make little tops with peplums, which is fine, but it's not my thing. It just isn't. And I really struggled with whether I wanted to do something more classic Lolita. I really thought about going goth for a long time. I was like, oh, I should just do like black with, you know, accents of blue and red. I thought about going a little bit more trendy as well and doing more of the like trendy high fashion type stuff. And I kept coming back to Lolita. I was like, that's my home, that's my thing, that's what I do. And I kept coming back to that, and I wanted to pull in just little bits of the Marie Antoinette style as well, those types of dresses, and the fact that they had the really, really ruffled sleeves. They're always like a half sleeve with the ruffle at the end, and I really want to showcase that because I love gathering. I know that sounds so stupid, but I love gathering, and I hand gather all the time. I love doing it. I can't get enough of it, and my instructors think I'm crazy. Like, why on earth would you hand gather that much? I'm like, because I have fun with it, okay? I like it. And I don't think ruffler foots do as good of a job as when you hand gather, and I really wanted to pull that in. I was like, I have to gather. So I'm just taking a little bit of classic Lolita, sprinkling some Marie Antoinette on it, and we're gonna see how it goes.
I've seen, well, her finale piece,
which she's wearing.
I think it is just the most gorgeous thing. She's got so many beautiful ruffles, and I think the fabric choice, I think that the ultimate fabric choices that you've made, at least that I've seen for the finale piece anyway, I think they're just so beautiful, and I'm so excited. So hopefully we'll have more about that in the future. I know that when the show happens, they usually film that, don't they?
They usually do,
so
yes.
We'll see what we can get from that, but you'll probably hear a little bit more about that in the future. So that's little Miss Jamie and all of her fantastic talent.
This is what I do.
So anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Thanks for watching.